Jeff Snyder here, sitting down with the team behind Together, which makes its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, the virtual Sundance Film Festival this year. With me are writer-director Nikole Beckwith and stars Ed Helms and Patti Harrison. How are you guys?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic.
Wonderful. I really did love this movie. I laughed. I cried a couple times, Nikole. You got me.
Whoa.
Oh.
And I just really love both of your performances. So Nikole, for the folks at home who really, we haven't seen the trailer, they don't really know what this movie's about. Can you describe it, please?
It is about a young woman played by Patti Harrison who is hired as the surrogate for a single man in his 40s, played by Ed Helms. And the film takes place between their first initial meeting, like job interview, basically, until the baby's first breath. And it's just about the kind of complicated, boundary pushing, intimate relationship that develops between these two strangers in this extremely personal circumstance.
And so, Nikole, what inspired you to write this story? Did you know someone who's gone through this kind of surrogate experience?
No, I was just kind of curious. Like, I kind of wanted to know what was going to happen, just like anybody who's watching the movie. And that's kind of like where I write from, is I'm just like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. And I wanted to tell a story. Surrogacy is becoming more and more a part of the way families are made. And I wanted to tell a hopeful, positive surrogacy story, because I think a lot of times it can be portrayed as like fraught and very melancholy, and it's like, I'm sure that exists, but there's this whole other pole on the spectrum of experience there that's positive. And also wanted to shine a light on the male biological clock, which exists. And I think like we very often see men becoming fathers in film and television kind of like dragged into it behind like demanding wives. And I wanted to tell a story about a guy who was chasing fatherhood by whatever means were available to him, the same way we tell that story about women all the time. But we don't see that in fathers very much.
Well, I do love that scene where Patti says, "Oh, it's the difference between the single mother and the single father." I thought that was brilliantly observed. Ed and Patti, tell me what it was about this script and these characters that drew you to the project.
I loved it. There was something very vulnerable and warm about this story, and it was an opportunity to kind of spread my wings a little bit. I mean, I've been in serious movies before, but I've never been quite in this space. And I felt like this story, as Nikole pointed out in describing the story, it's very, it's unique, and it's not something that we've seen much of. And I had a meeting with Nikole and fell in creative love with Nikole instantly. And then I met Patti and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But then
but I'd already locked him in. It was a
too late. You can't get
fully
out.
Binding contract. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just felt like such a fun, cool thing to do.
And Patti?
It was just such an interesting experience when I first read it, because I think what the movie does really like surgically well. I'm using the word surgically a lot today, just so you know, just like in my life, because I'm obsessed with surgery. I'm watching a lot of Botched. No, I think what it does like extremely well is subvert like expectations around, there's like kind of this like meta-ness on the commentary of the genre itself that it kind of like teeters between. I think it kind of exists in multiple spaces genre-wise and in tone. And when I was first reading it, in like literally in the first couple pages in, I was like, oh my gosh, are they gonna like are they gonna end up together? Is this gonna be like this like young girl and this like older guy, another like movie like that? And it addresses that like within the movie. And it's unlike anything that I've gotten to work on before. And it had so many different layers to it that I thought were like so brilliant. And Nicole's so funny. So she can do something that I'm unable to process, which is like be funny and kind and earnest. Where I'm like, I just have to be really cruel and funny, and there's never earnestness available. That's inaccessible to other people from me. And this movie helped. I think just like the process of shooting this movie has changed that for me a little bit, where even right now, you know, all of my DNA helixes in my body are unwinding at the moment, trying to give you an earnest answer and trying not to like riddle this answer with 10 billion jokes, shotgun blast you with a bunch of like bad jokes that don't land. So I feel like the process of reading it opened some things in my mind. And I think the way that it looks at relationships and like kind of the lines in between like romance and platonic relationships and like the connectivity or connections you can have with other people. It's like Ed said, it's just something very unique, and I hadn't really seen that story told before.
This movie will make you a more kind person.
I feel kinder already. And I think you're absolutely right about it, subverting expectations, because I definitely was expecting, actually, you know, I'm not even gonna give anything away.
Both of them die.
Right, of course. A huge explosion at the end.
Okay, cut that. Yeah, the big explosion.
You have to edit this out. That's the meat of the movie.
If you've seen Nicole's movies, I'm sorry, Nikole, to blow this up, but they all end with a big explosion that kills all the characters. So,
Patti, I mean, did you talk to any surrogates to get a feel for what this process is like? Or Ed, did you reach out to any parents who'd used a surrogate to conceive?
No, a hard no. I talked, Nikole is like a human encyclopedia. I watched videos of like at home births, like for the birthing process, I watched a lot of videos, which is like, you know, it was a lot to watch. But Nikole was just like, came in and has done like just this insane amount of research that I was like, oh, okay, great. She has like such a like fine-tuned idea of what she sees for this character, like her ability to articulate where the character is coming from, and kind of like not only just like on paper, but like her ability to kind of like feel you out as a person and say it to you in a way, in a language that you'll understand, is like, it's very scary. It's very psychiatric. Like she is very smart in a way that I think she knows things about me that I don't know about myself.
Ed, what I loved about your performance was the gratitude in your eyes in that birthing scene, where he just seems so thankful that this woman has given up her body to make him happy. And I just loved the way that you shot that last scene as well, Nikole, with you know, Patti's character sort of at the bottom of the frame. Nikole, I'm curious, at what point did Bleecker Street come aboard? You know, because I feel like this would be a big acquisition title, you know, if it was up for sale at the festival.
I don't know. Nobody tells me anything. They came aboard after the, you know, Sundance happened in Bleecker. It was all kind of this beautiful bouquet of things happening. And it's so, it's a really different experience kind of coming in with distribution and with partners coming into the festival experience that way. It does feel like an embarrassment of riches. It's like, you know, you find out you're going to Sundance and you're like, oh my God, we're going to Sundance. Like, this is incredible. And then in the next beat, finding out like, oh, and you've already been scooped up. So
yeah, you don't have to sweat out a sale.
Yeah.
I mean, Does that deal include a theatrical element? I'm just curious, with the landscape these days, like, is this something that Bleecker's going to put into theaters? Or is this going to be a VOD release?
I mean, I don't want to speak for Bleecker, but yeah, it's a theatrical. I think there'll be both, as it is. I mean, pandemic or not, that's commonplace now. It's like, and
I have it in all my contracts that everything gets projected on the moon. I just and automatically plays in everyone's earpods around the globe. So yeah. I think that's happening. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
That's how it starts. It's like, remember when that U2 album showed up on everybody's music libraries and we didn't want it and we didn't know how to get rid of it?
Right.
That's step number one. That's like, it's going to take over, but it's going to actually interrupt whatever you're watching and listening to or whoever you're talking to. It just starts.
And you shot this in San Francisco, right?
We shot the bulk of the movie in Los Angeles. Okay. And then we did a couple days in San Francisco for exteriors. So the movie is set there. And I wrote it there on a fellowship with San Francisco Film Society. And I really love that city. So yeah, it was cool to get to go. I mean, I really was very sick when we were in San Francisco. So I was like a troll person under a blanket and nobody would touch me or come near me. But even so, it was thrilling to get to go and shoot there for a couple of days.
There was one day of shooting where we were outside in the park and it was very windy and cold. And Nikole was, and it's an open park. There's like people, like actually like real people and a lot of dogs, really beautiful scene. It's in the movie. And Nikole was directing completely from inside, like what I gauged as a fire blanket, like, or a sleeping bag. And she had a monitor, like a mobile screen inside and was directing from inside this egg, this like very H.R. Giger style, like human embryo, which is kind of like I think tonally, maybe she was evoking motifs in the film to get us in the headspace.
I was becoming the baby.
Or I was worried you were having some sort of like psychological regression into a fetus, and
I wanted to be that baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikole, I know you guys have been to Sundance before. Patti, I'm not sure if this is your first time or not, but I'm curious, how do you go about making the most of a virtual festival like this? And what are you going to miss most about being on the ground in Park City?
Well, I miss these two. Even though we're Zooming, I really love both of these people very much. And I would love to be standing outside in a freezing cold line waiting for, to get into parties and stuff with them.
The movie business is really, it's such a cool business for not the obvious reasons, but I mean, for lots of obvious reasons, but one not obvious reason is that when you work on a project together, you're really in this kind of social bubble for a while, and it's a little bit like a retreat or something where you just can get to know people in ways that much deeper than just like an average office working environment or some other context. So working on a movie is, I think, a really beautiful, oftentimes a very beautiful sort of social situation. It often doesn't get a coda. Like, you get to have that. It's beautiful. It's fun. You can kind of fall in love with people and make great friends. And but what these film festivals are so great at is like reconvening a group of creative people. And what I love is just having that chance to reconnect and build those bonds even more. And this time there's not as much work involved. The work is more of a celebration of the work you already did. And going to a place like Park City, which is a resort town and has lots of fun resort activities and skiing and stuff and great nightlife. I love Sundance. I mean, it's kind of like a cliche, but it's just a fun, it's a chance to be with people that you worked hard on something with, and a chance to celebrate that thing. And I don't know, I really miss that. I do feel that in just in these Zoom meetings, and interviews and stuff. I am feeling that. It's really wonderful just to be in virtual space with these two amazing people. But I really miss the Sundances I've been to in the past. It's so fun, and I'm missing that personal connection.
I mean, I will say that I was actually up until 2:30 in the morning at the New Frontier virtual party. So I'm like in it. I'm gonna be as Sundancey as humanly possible. I got up early.
But you were
watched the
passed out
shorts
on
program.
your couch for the last 4 hours of that, and everyone was still like, is Nikole okay?
They virtually drew a mustache on me.
Yeah.
I know it's virtual because you don't have any wristbands or hand stamps, Nikole.
Yeah, it's true. I have my badges over there though. They sent a badge, which is so nice because that's such a nice keepsake, and status symbol. I'm gonna wear it around. I was up late, and I was in the virtual reality, the like New Frontier stuff, the shirt screenings. I saw Coda last night at Q&A. So I really am planning on getting no sleep, eating just snacks as I'm trying to recreate that magic out of timeness.
I watched a midnight movie last night, and after the movie ends, it kicks you right to the YouTube app. So like the way Sundance has done it this year is very, very cool. Patty, have you ever been to the festival before, or would this have been your first time? Oh, tough time.
Well, it is my first. It is happening. So yeah, I mean, it is, of course, bittersweet. I'm not, excited that the reason why it's not happening is a global pandemic. But as far as like safety goes, I'm happy that it's digital. I'm happy that like they're still going on with it, and that they've made like a lot of really cool, innovative, like just like frankly cute workarounds that it just makes me like feel really like touched that there are people that, despite all the horrible shit happening right now, that they're like people still trying to make it like more than just like, here's the link, watch it. They're like making it an experience. They're trying to make it like bring a sense of like excitement and joy to people. That's really like nice to me, and it like is just cool. Like Ed said, like I'd never worked on like a movie to this capacity before. Like I'd shot a really small part in one movie where I literally was like on set for 2 days and then was out. And this is the biggest part that I've had in something. And so like I didn't realize how involved like and how long the process is. Kind of like it's really just, it's been so nice because it's been like this long like opportunity for me just to like stay in contact with Nikole and Ed, and it's like exciting to get to see it kind of acknowledged in this way. Like I'm pretty jazzed, and I know that we'll have the future, unless some sort of like insane earthquake eats the coast.
Right.
Then maybe Sundance will move to Marietta, Ohio.
All aboard the buses. I mean, I think that you're right. There are a lot of people who feel alone right now in the middle of this pandemic. And in this movie, your characters are sort of lonely people who come together. And I think a virtual festival is a way of maintaining that community. But speaking of the pandemic, I mean, we're almost, a year into this thing. How are you guys holding up? Has anybody gotten the vaccine yet?
Not yet.
My mom got her first shot, which
She felt okay after it?
super psyched about.
Good.
Yeah, apparently the second shot is supposed to be maybe a little more like symptomy.
That's what
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I heard.
All right. Well, then I better ask you guys just about some future projects real quick while I have you. Patti, what you're on season 3 of Shrill, right? What does that have in store for fans?
Well, that is out in spring. I'm going to keep it mysterious. It's out in spring.
Okay.
And, I think people will be getting to experience what they love the show for, which is like heart, but also like beautiful, gorgeous outfits and and laughs and lots of love and the beautiful backdrop that is Portland, Oregon. So that's about all I think I can say, because I have not been primed on what I am allowed to talk about yet.
Sure. I'll talk to the Hulu powers that be. And do you have any
Well,
idea?
it's the final season, so everyone gets blown up at the end, which is really sad. I'm not supposed to say that. My NDA is definite. I'm in trouble.
They stole my hook.
Yeah, they stole it. So Nicole's suing.
I'm actually suing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea if you'll be in season 2 of Tim Robinson's show?
I also, I don't think I can say.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then we transition to Ed and
Jeff, I think you should leave.
Yeah.
yes.
Good one, right? All right, sorry.
Ed, what can you tell us about your new Peacock show, Rutherford Falls?
It's extraordinary. It is a game changer. It is a seminal work. What else can I say? We shot the whole thing during the pandemic, which was kind of fraught and scary, but we had an incredible crew and cast that got through everything, and we let's see. But it's a fantastic show. I co-created the show with my old office buddy Mike Schur and another friend of ours, Sierra Teller Ornelas, and I play a guy named Nathan Rutherford, who is sort of the mascot of this little town, Rutherford Falls, in the Northeast, and he runs the local heritage museum for the town. And his best friend is a Native American woman, Regan, who lives on the reservation right next to the town. They grew up together, and she runs the cultural center on at the reservation. And they're just history buffs. Some events in the town start to put some weird pressures on their friendship, and hilarity ensues.
Okay. And I also understand you're going to be working with Harrison Ford on a movie. Have you had a chance to meet him yet? Can you tell us anything about Burt Squire?
I can tell you it's such a cool, wild, hilarious script. We're trying to pull that package together right now. And I can't wait. I mean, reading it, it's like Harrison is the perfect guy for this role. And humbly, I think I'm perfect for my part. So I've never worked with him, but I can't wait.
Should be fun to see you two together. And then Nikole, is there anything that you're working on? I know I don't want to get ahead of it. You just made a movie, but any scripts on
What the hell? I always have something cooking, but it's all secret. I feel like I can't talk about anything before it's done, because it kind of releases the itch you're trying to scratch by continuing on. So,
well, what can you tell me about this Amazon show, Tell Me Your Secrets, that you worked on?
Nothing.
Okay.
Tell me your secrets. No
one's telling me the secrets. Okay, fair enough. Well, guys, thank you so much for chatting with Collider today. Good luck with the movie at the festival, and Ed, give my best to Mike Falbo, my old boss.
Yeah.
And guys, together. Make sure you check it out whenever it's available, courtesy of Bleecker Street. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.